What's happening, everybody? All right, so this is a bit of an advice piece. When to get away from the car hobby or the car lifestyle. And I'm bringing this to you because, look, I've been there before. I, at one point, even sold not only the cars, but the tools that I worked on them with. I never even wanted to think about working on another car, going to the track again, or anything like that. But here we are. But the fact of the matter is that even the most dedicated gearhead can start to get frustrated and can get frustrated to the point of wanting to basically begin the exit strategy. So just want to let you know it's absolutely okay to do that. A lot of guys, because of some sense of pride, because of some other senses of obligation, they stick around this hobby for way too long. They end up becoming miserable, and you end up just dumping more money and more time and more effort and exhausting all of your resources to put together some combination that you think is going to make you happy. It ain't going to make you happy, and chances are you're spending money that you ain't got to impress people that you don't know and to, quite frankly, don't really care about what you've done with your particular car. So just know that coming into this, that if you're starting to get to the point where it's just not fun anymore, or you're tired of dealing with drama or nonsense, or you got a bunch of people cackling in your ear about, well, why don't you do this to your car? Why don't you do that to your car? Make more power, do whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. If you find yourself really starting to get annoyed with that, do one of two things. Either remove yourself from that influence, or if you're into the car scene pretty deep and you're feeling the pinch of always having to try to come up and clamor for money to what you think is, put together an improvement on your car, might not necessarily be the most healthy use of resources. And I mean that in the nicest of ways, because look, I've been there myself, and y'all have heard me say before, look, there ain't no sin in eating ramen noodles and beanie weenies if you're trying to save up for parts. And that's true if you're still having fun along the way. The problem is a lot of guys get so wrapped up in this and they get so tied up in it, whether it is tied up financially, emotionally, because of obligation. Sometimes it's a family influence that's keeping them involved in this. And they kind of stick around with it, but they're kind of half-heartedly going about it. That's just not ever any fun. And so I just want to give the advice of, look, I get it. I've been there myself. It's never any fun to be the guy that is still putting money into a project that all you want to do is get away from it as fast as possible. So I'm bringing this to you, again, because I do give out a lot of advice on how to modify not just Mopars, but Fords and Chevys and stuff like that. I get questions about a little bit of everything. And it's usually about something that is going to be relatively expensive, but these are guys that are enthusiastic and they want to take their build to the next level, and they don't mind spending the money. But the thing you got to remember is that in this hobby, if you're trying to go fast, if you're trying to style out a car, it doesn't matter what it is. This is a game of big bank take little bank. And where guys really start to get frustrated is they start to see that it doesn't matter how much time you put in terms of practice, in terms of developing a driver's skill set, or developing an understanding for chassis setup, things like that. If you are willing to put in a certain percentage of your income, there's always going to be somebody, finances all being the same, that will put in a larger percentage of their income just to try to impress the Joneses. That whole keeping up with the Joneses mentality is what usually is the trigger for guys to start going down the path of getting sick and tired of this hobby or this lifestyle. More to that point, there are guys out there that have plenty of cash. They don't have any problem spending it and spending large portions of their income on trying to make a car faster or styled out or whatever the case is. You have to understand that not only do they have the resources, but they have the willingness to dump those resources into the hobby or the lifestyle. That can start to breed some jealousy with guys that either don't have the resources or don't have, or rather I should say, that have the fiscal responsibility to not go that route. And you start to look at it, you hear the jabber and the back and forth and some of the argy-bargy with some of these guys, and basically it's the generic trash talking that goes back and forth, and it really puts a lot of folks off. My opinion of that is, look, you go out and you do you. Make sure that you are having fun. Don't listen to the outside stuff. Don't listen to the hecklers or whatever else that's out there. Go out there, have fun in whatever lane you want to be in. Again, perfect example of that. With my car now, I am super happy with where it is. I get hit up a lot as far as, why don't I go with pulleys? I give out all of this advice. Why don't I go with nitrous? Why don't I go with this, that, or whatever? And my response is, I'm having too much fun where I'm at now. Why would I want to put more into something that, by my experience, is not going to give me more in terms of enjoyment or fun? And it's taken me a long time to get to that point, but again, with a certain amount of time and a certain amount of experience with these cars and with the car lifestyle in general, you get to a certain point where you're just in general happy. And I think a lot of guys don't realize that faster is not better in every case. Throwing more money at a project is not necessarily going to make that car any more fun. It may make it faster, but let me remind you that fast is not analogous to fun. So when you start to look at, well, the pride aspect, this is where a lot of guys go, man, I can't part ways with it. I just don't have the heart to get rid of it. That's usually their pride talking. Let me tell you something. When you get rid of that, whatever it is that we're talking about, again, for me, it was motorcycles and cars. If you get to that point, believe me when I tell you that the money that you get will definitely help to offset the pain that you feel about selling that car along. And you know, a lot of guys get, that whole idea, well, I'm just going to get so attached to it, or I am so attached to it. Believe me, time will remove that attachment, no problem. Especially when you start to realize that there are other platforms, there's other things out there that you can do to have fun in the lifestyle that aren't going to soak up as much of your resources. So, in saying all that, make sure that you're having fun. This is kind of the key point for me. So I was at the drag strip, and I'm not going to give too many details here because I don't want anybody to think I'm calling them out or whatever, but here's the reality. I was looking at, and this is again what kind of triggered this advice video. I'm looking at a guy sitting in a chair by his trailer. Now, let me kind of paint this picture for you guys. His tow rig, you could probably live in the thing, but his tow rig and his trailer, which his trailer was about a $25,000 fully enclosed, super long, heavy duty, top of the line. Long story short, just in his tow rig alone and the trailer, I would say he had somewhere about $125,000, give or take, or about half of the cost of a normal house at the time of this video. Along with, that's not counting the car that he was racing. The car that he was racing, newer, higher end bit of kit. From the outside, it's masquerading as a normal looking street car. On the inside, completely gutted. And when I say completely gutted, I'm not saying just the driver or the passenger seat was gone and the driver's seat was a Kirky race seat or whatever. No. Dashboard gone, door cards gone, any semblance of street ability gone in terms of windshield wiper, everything. The hood was open, and I'm looking at this thing and I'm just going, something's not exactly right here. So in looking at this whole picture kind of unfolding in front of me, I'm looking at the guy sitting in the chair by the trailer. And he's kind of just looking around, and the guy looked so unhappy. He looked like somebody that was at, a wedding that he never wanted to go to. Like he didn't like anybody at the wedding. And the guy looked miserable. And all I could think, I had some empathy for the guy because, I've had the expensive tow rig and I've had the expensive car, although not gutted to this level, but this guy had taken it so far past anything that I had ever done, and he's still in it. And the car that he was racing, I would guess, had probably somewhere around $125,000 to $150,000 in the car. and I'm looking at about $125,000 in rig, I'm looking at basically, I don't know, $300,000 worth of stuff sitting there, give or take, right? Because inside the trailer is all the extra stuff that he had, probably about $300,000. This guy looked like he probably had, I mean, he had his net worth on display for everybody to see. And I get that. Some guys are that dedicated. They are that into this hobby, this lifestyle, everything, that they are willing to take this to that extreme level. If you're comparing yourself to that guy, you will never measure up. That guy looked like he was not having any fun though. And just remember that if you're out there having fun, you are way ahead of the curve than some of these guys that have spent their entire life and their entire net worth trying to build something that is, in essence, they're paying to be miserable. So anyway, I hope that advice lands with some of you guys. Love giving advice on how to make your cars faster and how to spend your money, but I also want to give the same attention and the same respect to some of the guys that may go, man, I just can't afford that, or I just don't want to do anything else to the car. I'm feeling pressured. Man, don't. If you're not having fun, get rid of it and learn to have fun with what you got too. Get good with what you got. You don't need any more than that. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Y'all have a great one. Adios.